It's a common method used by some of the tribes in the north.
So what you're saying is that you never saw it, and it never happened at State Research?
I'm not saying it was not done. If it was done, I was not knowledgeable of it being done at State Research.
The Englishman, Bob Assels, is usually thought of as Idi Amin's right-hand man. But in a recent interview from prison, he described you as the real power behind Amin and said that everybody in Uganda feared you.
No, I didn't consider myself the power behind him. He was there long before I arrived.
But he needed you?
In certain areas he did.
As he talked about his Ugandan years, Terpil casually touched on events that had made world headlines. The raid on Entebbe, the murder of Dora Bloch, the mass executions of Ugandans, the mysterious plane crash which killed Bruce Mackenzie, Kenya's Minister of Agriculture. We know that Amin gave a present to Mackenzie just before he took off in the aeroplane.
It was probably a cob head, which was a traditional present for, it's a mounted head. It looks similar to a deer, traditional present that he did give away.
It's been established, I think, that there was a bomb inside that cob head.
Then that would be a dangerous present to have. Beware of Amin's giving gifts.
We also know that you supplied a special kind of detonator that was set off at high altitude. Was that your equipment inside the cob head?
There's a remote possibility.
Could they have got that equipment from anywhere else but your supplies?
They could have gotten it through UK. You know, I did not have an exclusive on this type of equipment.
But it was the kind of equipment that you supplied?
In some cases, yes.
As he talked, Terpil gradually revealed his closeness to the Ugandan dictator, who had rewarded him with the nickname Waragi, White Lightning. When the regime collapsed, it was Frank Terpil who sat at Amin's side on the last plane out of Uganda, while Assels was left to make his own way out of the country on foot. You and Amin arrived in Libya as two refugees.
Political refugees, yes.
How were you treated there?
Not with... At that time, there was a lot of confusion. There was no open hostility at that time.
We heard about Amin's short exile in Libya and the breakdown of his relationship with Khadaffi when he described Libyan soldiers as women.
Amin, although he was treated well, finally realized that he was under house arrest.
How the Saudi Arabians then gave Amin sanctuary and, according to Terpil, support to stage his comeback, a threat that still hangs over Uganda.
Yes, there's no doubt in my mind he's planned to make a comeback. Yes, there's approximately 40,000 troops that were loyal to his cause in a neighboring country, and I think have been fairly well trained by now.
Would you be prepared to help him?
I would assist him in the same way I assisted him before, sure.
The two exiles have kept in close touch. In the summer of 1980, they tried to negotiate with Khomeini for the release of the American hostages. Terpil gave us tapes of his telephone calls to Jeddah when invasion plans, code word football match, give the two friends a chance to indulge their humor.
Excellency, this is Waragi.
Ah, very good. I telephoned you one day, but I couldn't get you.
Yeah?
I decided just to be now a religious man.
But they want you back. Now what?
We are preparing for everything possible very soon.
Very good.
We might invite you for the football match.
I will be there because we have to start the basketball team again.
We wanted a basketball between California and Washington.
Very good. You see, now we can invite Nixon this time because he still doesn't have a job.
As he talked, Terpil became more and more nostalgic for the old days with Edie. It was as though state research had never existed and Uganda was just comic opera. We heard about Amin's secret passion for Princess Margaret, about evenings Terpil had spent in Amin's massage parlor, listening to the dictator's records of Scottish pipe bands, and of long, lazy afternoons on Lake Victoria, when Amin dreamed of turning Uganda into a nuclear power.
With that, we had been out on the boat. It was myself, Bob Astles, and Amin. And there were discussions as to if uranium was discovered, or if in fact it was in commercial quantities, would it enhance the economy of the nation, or if it would, what other possible uses could it be used for? And then Amin inquired as to how much it would require to make a bomb.
In that first afternoon, it seemed to us that we'd not been invited to deal with innocence or guilt, but to join Terpil in a world with no moral coordinates, to share hilarious stories of men like Amin.
And had a difficult time saying uranium. And he said, he looked, we were on the boat, and he said, Waragi, he said, how much would this make to make a big bomb? And
he'd always smile, and he seemed, I would use the word psychotic. He definitely has a problem. He's not all there. He's conscious of what he's doing, but to him, you know, he's like the old horses where they put the blinders on. He doesn't take, he doesn't care.
In 1979, you were sitting next to Idi Amin on the last flight out of Uganda. Take us back to the very beginning. I mean, what brought you there? Where were you born? Where do you come from?
I was born in November 1939 in Brooklyn, New York, on East 8th Street, 223 East 8th Street. On my particular street, we had Irish, Italian, Polish, and one French family that somehow found their way there. It was very ethnic.
On the western edge of Long Island, just over the water from Manhattan, are some 80 square miles of brick and brownstone tenements, shops, pubs, and clapboard houses known as Brooklyn. We came here in search of clues, hoping to learn what forces had shaped Frank Terpil, had created, in Matthew Crosson's words, a unique and dangerous man. Instead, we met Viola Terpil.
Nobody can tell me that Frank could possibly be guilty of all these things that they had in the paper. He's not. If he is, I would be the most shocked person in the world, because that's not him.
Why do you think Frank has chosen the life he lives? Is it for money?
I think it's the excitement. I think it's certainly not money. Definitely not money, because, like I say, Frank would give anybody anything if he had it, you know.
Do you think Frank enjoys being different from the people of Brooklyn, the kind of people he was brought up?
Oh, yes, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does. I don't know what, you know, I never did talk to him and ask him what his impression of Brooklyn was.
The people of Brooklyn normally, and this is only the people that I know, they've got a very narrow scope of life. Quite honestly, they are kind of like the Archie Bunkers depicted on TV.
That's a deuce, baby! Yeah! Way to stroke, Peter, way to go!
If I would have stayed there, I would have never known any difference. I mean, I would be in the same syndrome they would be, probably working in light industry, or one of the keys of success there may be to work for the telephone company or